Okay, so I'd just like to do a little update video to let you know what it's like to actually live with the CBOX, the Neo Geo MVS consoleized machine for the home from China. Now, this machine has a bad reputation, mainly because of one YouTuber who basically blew his upscan converter running this into his RGB video switch box and then into his upscan converter. And because of that, a lot of people have basically just said that this machine is a load of rubbish. And to be honest, it really isn't. Now, I don't know if these people are part of the Neo Geo community, and I do understand that fans of the Neo Geo are very passionate about the SNK brand and the Neo Geo hardware, and maybe they're not too happy that you can buy this for the reasonable price. They do say it's the worst consoleized MVS ever. I mean, as you can see here, it's running on the TV. I've got the scan line switched off and everything, and yeah, it's perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do is go through a couple of the issues with you today and basically debunk them as not being true. So I've got the camera here on the phone, and what we're going to do is we're going to see, oops, if I keep it the right way up, to prove that this is running to RGB video. There it is, and the sound's coming through the left and right audio jacks there, which I will admit were originally in mono, so I had to do the stereo mod. I'm going to put the link to the stereo mod video in the video description down below. But yeah, as you can see, that is coming out of the RGB video socket, the alleged socket that blows people's switch boxes and upscan converters up. And that is going to this switch box down here. I don't know if you can see it because it's pretty dark down there. And that's going into the FrameMeister there. Okay. So as you can see, it runs perfectly fine, no problems whatsoever. And I do apologize about this really messy room. Okay, let's switch that off. Okay, so let's debunk a couple of other issues which some people have brought up about this machine. Okay, now a lot of people say that the UniBIOS on it glitches out. Well, yes, it does glitch out, but I bet you those people that says glitching out are using one of these multi-game cartridge. As you can see, this is a real official MVS cartridge of Fatal Fury Special. And if I do the pad reset, I'm using Sega Saturn pads by the way, you will see that the multi-BIOS logo is not corrupted. Look at that, perfectly fine. And I can jump to the other multi-BIOS as well, where you can select all the options. Yep, as you can see, perfectly fine, no problem at all. And the jukebox player works as well. If you can find the number with the song on, that is. Here we go. Yep, works fine. Turn that down a bit. Okay. Now, if I change the cartridge to the multi cartridge, you will see that the UniBIOS does glitch out. And I think that's basically because we're using a not a uni cartridge, a multi cartridge here. So we'll start up a game and we'll well, actually it's working now. There you go. But it will glitch out if you do the reset on the multi cartridge. Here we go. Watch this. Okay, now that's what people are complaining about, and yeah, that is a problem, but it doesn't happen when you use real MVS cartridges. So basically, I think it's an issue down to the multi cartridge here. Now, something else that other people have pointed out is half the image is missing on the screen when you play a game. Well, that's just not true. I know some people say when they go to a character select screen on a fighting game, half the characters are missing. Now, I'm not saying that isn't true for them, but as you can see, it's perfectly lined up. What those people are having issues with is the overscan on the CRT which they're using. And that's got nothing to do with this machine. That's their TV and the way it processes the picture. As you can see, running it through RGB through an upscaler basically eliminates the overscan, and you know, it's perfectly in frame. That's exactly how it is in the arcade machine. And to prove it, I'm going to throw up a screenshot here taken from an arcade machine. See? Exactly the same. Okay, so that debunks that one. It does not cut off the picture. That's the TV overscanning the image. I've actually written down all the things here because there's quite a few things that people complain about. Okay, now, some other people have mentioned that using Sega Saturn controllers on it doesn't work. Well, I'm sorry, that's a load of crap. They do work perfectly fine. And some people are not happy with the button layout, and I can understand that. Myself, I'm more accustomed to, to the 3 punches and the 3 kicks down here. But this is being set up more like a Neo Geo CD controller. So you got, what was it, your light and heavy punch, your heavy and light punch, and your heavy and light kicks here, just like a Neo Geo CD controller. And pause is up here, or insert coin, depending on if you're playing AES mode or MVS mode. Okay, these buttons don't do anything. And of course your D-pad is perfectly fine as well. And the beauty with being able to use Sega Saturn peripherals is you can use Sega Saturn arcade joysticks as well, which are really, really good, very high quality. I'm not saying they're better than Neo Geo joysticks, but some people prefer them, and I do too. Okay, now, one more thing with this machine, which might be an issue to some people, is that they've taken out the battery. And the reason for that is they probably didn't want the battery leaking all over the board, because those batteries are pretty old. Now, they could have put new batteries into these machines, which they haven't done, which is a pain in the backside. But to be honest, it's not that much of a difficult job to do. All you need is very, very basic soldering skills. Get yourself a battery holder, and the battery costs you $10 max, American dollars. It cost me 1,600 yen it cost me. Things are a little bit more expensive here in Japan. I haven't installed it yet, but once that battery is installed, all the games will save their high scores, the Unibias will save its settings, and so on. So yeah, so bottom line is, basically, I'm very happy with this machine. It's, served me well. It works really, really well. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. If there was one thing I did have to complain about, it was the fact that there was no stereo sound. That was a major bummer for me. And having to do the mods wasn't so difficult, but it was something I'd rather not have to do. So hopefully the manufacturers of this can get the stereo sorted out sooner or later. I think that's about it. Oh, one more thing. Composite video out. Okay. Oh, sorry, not composite video out. That's the crappy one. Component video out. For me, component video out works perfectly on this TV, and it looks sublime. It looks really good. Running component video out through the FrameMeister down here doesn't work. It's really difficult to get the FrameMeister to see the component video out. The way I had to do it was run the PS2 here, and then switch the cables over to the MVS console here. And then the FrameMeister would recognize the signal. But that's a lot of faffing about, so if you are thinking about running this machine through component video out into FrameMeister at least, forget about it. It's going to be too much trouble. Something to do with the timing of the signal, I guess. But yeah, as you can see, we've got the RGB running here, and it looks really, really nice. In fact, let me just switch on the scan lines. Let me get the remotes. Here we go. And we'll switch on the scan lines here. There we go. Oops. Where's the scan line button? Hey. Now we've got the scan line switched on there, which are looking kind of funky. I think I've got the machine set to the wrong output. Let's just change the output to HDMI output. I think it's on a... Yeah, there we go. We'll switch it to HDMI, and that'll make it look a lot nicer. When the TV decides to figure out what the signal is. Come on. There you go, there it is with the scan lines. Looking lovely. Okay, so if you still haven't picked one of these machines up and you were thinking about picking one up, I do recommend them. As I've said, I've been using this constantly for over a month now. No issues whatsoever. Definitely recommended by me. Thumbs up.